Hello, everybody, and welcome to our final edition of our Modern Masters 2015 set review. I am Evan Irwin.
Brad Nelson.
And we are here to talk about all of the green cards and land cards in Modern Masters 2015. This is the final video of our set review, and I've been having a good time.
I have enjoyed myself as well.
Well, it's like we enjoy this stuff.
We've been through this, yeah.
A few times.
Yeah.
God, one of these days I'm going to count up all the hours you and I have just sat around talking about Magic cards.
Well, with a camera or without a camera, because like it's.
Well, those are two different totals, and
yes.
you know it's a lot in front of the camera. You know, because we were doing this before it was cool. We were doing complete set reviews before everybody was like, "Oh, we're doing a set review." We're doing a set review. Boom, boogity, booms. And we kick off with Algae Gariel, a card that absolutely kicked the living crap out of me in a PTQ because the guy knew how to play it, and he would just play it, and then all he would do, and this is what you should probably do, because I felt that strategy was very powerful, you play it, and then you never attack with it until it is so big they can't deal with it. And at that point, it's ridiculous. It's nuts. It just wins the game by itself at that point. You're like, all right, this guy's going to sit over here, and I'm just going to attack him other dudes, attack him other dudes. Oh, we traded? Okay, sweet. Counters. Oh, okay, sweet attack. Oh, more counters. Okay, great. Now this guy's so monstrous, there's nothing you can do about it, and it just kills him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And sometimes like it backfires when their board is just too big. It's just a 1/1 for 4.
Sometimes.
And for stabilizing, yeah, there's a high variance to Algae Gariel.
But the fact that when it's any creature, not just your creatures, not just their creatures, any other creature
even
dies.
other people in the tournament. So this card is going to be so powerful at
Dude,
GP Vegas.
Did that die?
Yeah.
Okay, it died. And yours? You're totally dead. No, but seriously, it's a great limited card. You don't want to play a ton of them, but if you can kind of sort of get your one out there and just kind of let it sit back for a little bit and let your other creatures do some work and get them larger, essentially, it works really well in the sacrifice outlet decks.
It's going to be great in a black-green Golgari based deck where you have like the Necrogenesis and other sack
throwing
outlets
vampires and stuff, and what's the Rusalka? The drowned Rusalka, yeah, all that good stuff. Like that's the stuff that kind of feeds the Algae Gariel, and man, I'm telling you, this card is powerful. And if you don't respect it, you'll see. All Suns Dawn. Okay.
Great art. Never was that good.
Amazing art though.
It's just I'm pretty sure. I guess we already made it to the fifth video. We can say it.
Okay.
It's a really good commander card.
Oh.
It's a card needed for commander
wow.
players. Well, where else?
We made it all the way to the 5th one, didn't we? Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, you broke out bread and butter like immediately.
Yeah.
But we waited all the way till right now to be like, this is a commander card.
I mean, it kind of is because it's never been good and constructed. It's not good and limited. And why is it here? It's here because there's probably a necessity to get more copies out in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just shooting in the dark with this theory.
I mean, you know, it's like if there's this weird 5-color thing and you're playing a bunch of cards different colors, like maybe it's like the only thing it can really do with this format.
I mean, that's just it. You need so many things to make this card good and limited where it's, you know, like a dragon, you just play it. Elish Norn, you just play it. Like, it's a bomb. Where here, it's you need so much to make it good. And there's not a lot of great things. Like, there's no compulsive research or cards like that that let you get to all of these effects.
Right.
Like,
it's not like, you know, oh, man, I can't wait to get to 5 mana so I can All Suns Dawn. Like, you know. And in fact, you need to have a bunch of different stuff in the graveyard. Not just like all your black cards are in the graveyard, so you get one of them. Yeah. So it's like a 5-mana regrowth, which is terrible. So, yeah, it's your mileage is probably going to vary pretty crazy high on this one.
Yeah.
Commander. Ant Queen, this card is fantastic. In limited, bomb.
Yeah, it's a bomb limited card. It's so good. It's a 5/5 for 5 that you just have menacing for the rest of the game. Yep. And sometimes it's better to do this, to activate this as many times until they find an answer to it, than it is to use your resources in hand, because you're just giving up value by making 1/1 insects for 2 mana, which is a great value.
It's a fantastic value. Yeah. I'm going to pump all my mana into it, and you have to deal with it. I'm going to create this ridiculous army that's just going to run you over. Do not put this thing in the red zone unless you're absolutely sure you can protect it, or they're not going to be able to kill it, because this is the card that's going to win you the game by itself. Yeah. This card is crazy good. It is like a 5-mana 5/5. Just alone is fantastic, but this ability is just over the top.
Yeah, super powerful limited card.
Very, very powerful. This card is also very, very powerful. You know, 2-mana 2/2 where it can graft its counters around. It can get reach if you need it to get reach. Like it was a fantastic 2-drop back in Ravnica, and it is. I think it's still a fantastic 2-drop.
Oh, it's great, and like now we get to see 2-drops that work with proliferate spells, and that's like really cool. Like it's just a 2/2 on turn 2, but if we just like play a proliferate card like Teferi's Gambit and draw 2 cards, put a counter on this, attack for 3, follow it up, like play this, and then followed up with another creature to graft onto it and then proliferate. Like, there's going to be so many cool things, and Aquastrand Spider is going to be very good with it.
Mixing graft and proliferate, I mean, like, I just cannot wait to see all that stuff.
It's going to be fun. Like, the set, like, now that we're getting close to the end, like, we have this whole video left, but, like, it just feels like there's going to be so many cool interactions, like, all this nostalgia from all these different sets, like, warping together. It's just going to be fun. And, like, I feel like this format is so much better for Limited than Modern Masters 1, and you can just see all the synergies.
Yeah, and you can see that. I mean, it's a very sort of differently designed set, and I think in the first one, and we talked about this a little bit in terms of like financial value, the first Modern Masters was just like way up here, and this one's like still here, and this is still a big pile of money underneath, but it's not quite as big, and as a result, they're able to kind of craft the Limited environment a little bit further, and I think include some more cards to kind of get that synergy going.
Yeah, and you'll get value out of the set drafting it, but now it just doesn't cost $1 million, right? Like, like once everyone buys all their sets, then they just put a couple $100 on the box and say, do you want it?
Yeah, I mean, like in 2 years, I mean, like there's always the Tarmogoyf lottery, and in 2 years, I expect us to be back here for Modern Masters 2017, and Tarmogoyf's going to be in that one, and so there's always that kind of crown jewel of the set that is always a ton of money. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to play this set to have fun, this is a card that kind of really helps to mesh all of the mechanics together. Really sweet. Bestial Menace, a fantastic card. Man, they make some really good green cards.
Very easy to win games with this card.
This card is really fantastic. I loved it. I mean, I love the flavor of this card. From where was this card from? Like Conflux or something?
I do not even. I
can't remember, but it was amazing, powerful then. I mean, at this point, you're getting 6 power and 6 toughness over 5 mana over 3 creatures. Like now, all of your spells and all of your effects that affect all other creatures, like your Celestial Guild Mages, work so much better. Like your Sigil Blessings work so much better. Like this is a card that is fantastic when you need 3 creatures to block their other 3 creatures of varying power and toughness. Man,
yeah, it's great.
It's fantastic. Pick it early, play it always in all your green decks.
Actually, no, it was Worldwake, right?
Yeah, it was
I think Worldwake.
Very nice. Commune with Nature. How would you kind of evaluate this card? Give me the Brad Nelson take.
I've never liked it.
I got the Brad Nelson take. You never really liked it.
No, I never really liked it
either. I always felt like the lowliest bear creature dork that you have is better than Commune with Nature.
Yep.
And because when you play Commune with Nature and you whiff,
yeah, like if you have cards like Moloku, like really good. Like this set has like Elishnorn, but like you want the time to generate the land. You don't need it right away. So like cards like Moloku in like a green shell like work really well together because you get acceleration to play this card and you have a bunch of lands. You don't really need to utilize them because you're green deck. But in this set, there's nothing I really want to dig for.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously you can dig for some bombs or whatever. But again, like you're probably just better off putting a threat in your deck than something that might find a threat sometimes. And if it don't, you feel super foolish.
But people love looking at a bunch of cards and getting card selection.
They do, and sometimes it's good in like Ancient Stirrings or whatever, when in terms of like Urzatron or when you're doing stuff with Eldrazi or whatever, but like not here.
Nope.
No thanks. Cytoplast Rootkin, as I recall, this one went from rare to uncommon, which was cool.
Got downgraded to busted. Like I thought it was a good rare for what it did in that format, and like in this format, I think they wanted to be uncommon because they really want that graft theme. Like they
want to push it to where you see it enough.
Yeah.
Because if you don't see it enough, it's not going to do anything. So they're like, okay, we put in all these graft cards. Well, let's lower some of these rarities so you can see them more often. So you can actually have this really cool synergistic proliferate graft thing going on. And this is a card that you absolutely want in every single one of those decks. At the end of the day, if it's just a 4-mana 4/4, it's fantastic. But if you're able to trigger that, put a +1/+1 counter on every other creature you control that has one, like it can get pretty nutty.
Yeah, no, it's great. I don't. It's like the opposite of what's the card that is a 1/1 from the new from Dragons that gets 2 counters and gives tokens away.
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, it's just like that 3/3 Salt Road something.
Okay.
Well, that card like gives away his power, and this one just taketh.
Yeah.
Just like
thanks.
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, card is super good. Always play it in those decks, and just in any green deck. Like it's just value. Like it's value, and lets all your other creatures you play after it be bigger if you want them to, and then he can steal his counters back if you need him to.
And when you pick one of these early, because it is like a really early pick as a 4/4 for 4, you're gonna want to take as many craft creatures as possible, and then it just gets more busted as we go.
Yep, you want as many craft creatures. You start looking at proliferate, trying to put together maybe a black green deck, and then you have like your Necrogenesis to get the value after they die. I mean, like it all works together.
Yeah.
Gnarled Pack. This is a fantastic card. It was like multi-kicker's always good. Bears are always good. Pumping all your mana. It's great early. It's great on turn 2, and it's great on turn 9. You know.
Well, 8.
8.
Not that good on 9. Great again on 10.
Oh,
not that good
great.
on 11.
And then
awesome
great
at 12.
Okay at 13.
Yeah.
Fantastic at 14.
Yeah.
Yep.
Figured it out. Pro magic.
Right, but then if you had any acceleration in there, then it changes. And then the good is bad and the bad is good and the up is down and the black is white.
I don't even get what's going on.
I don't know what's happening more. Play this card every time in your green decks because it's really good. Carplusian Strider. Or Carplusian. Sorry, Carplusian Strider. This card was sweet in Cold Snap. It is sweet, I think, for the obvious reasons, which means it's really difficult to kill with any sort of spell.
It was great in Cold Snap because there wasn't many great things in Cold Snap.
Oh, God. Cold Snap was weird. God, that was so weird. One of the first videos I ever made was a Cold Snap limited set review, I think it was.
Wow, I want to go back and watch that.
Please don't.
I'm going to.
I'm serious. Like, it's one of those, like, if you go back to my YouTube channel that you're watching right now, and you go to my videos, and you go to the last page of my videos, and you scroll down to, like, the first thing I was ever doing, I was, like, playing my weird Dragonstorm deck before anyone was playing Dragonstorm, and then it's my really terrible Cold Snap limited review.
Yeah, I just thought about it, but I was like, for the Cold Snap review, like, we should make a drinking game for the Cold Snap review.
Oh, my God.
And now I'm thinking, maybe they have that for these.
Maybe. Yeah. It's a possibility. But regardless, a 4-mana 3/4 that can be targeted by blue or black spells is very powerful because, again, the things that they use to answer these types of cards often don't work anymore, and at that point, you're just sort of left to combat. And when you're the green deck against the black-blue deck, and you have all the cool combat tricks and all the cool combat pumps, this card puts you way ahead.
Yeah, it's very good. Like, sometimes it might not make the cut in the main deck because the green decks are so powerful.
Well, because you have so many good things happening at 4.
Yeah, but it's like a board in all the time against blue-black because they can never mess with it.
Yeah, every single time, always. But again, if you just, if you're playing this main deck, I think it's
fine. Yeah.
But again, if you're in a glut of 4 and a glut of 5 and you just have to cut something, this is a thing you can cut because it's just a 3/4 for 4 in a color that really spoils you in terms of power and toughness on mana cost. Kavu Primarch. This was Future Sight?
Yes.
Yes. This was Future Sight, and it was weird, but it was great. It was good then. It's good now.
It should be good now. It's probably not what you want in the... it might be fine in the token, the proliferate versions of the green decks, but I bet it's going to be best in, or not token, sorry, like the counter versions. Yeah. It could be fine in that, but it's going to be best in the token ones, like the scatter the seeds.
Right, because remember, because this has Convoke, you can also help pay the kicker with the Convoke, with all the other creatures. So, between that, this card, it could be very expensive. You want to pay 8 mana for it, but really it's 1 green and then probably a bunch of other creatures that are making it cheaper.
Oh, yeah. And then you just have a 7/7.
Yep, and that is very, very good. This card is very powerful, and you want to play it definitely in the token strategies, but if you're not in the token strategy, it starts looking more like a hill giant. Yeah. And that's not always bad, but it's not always great. Yeah. So at that point, it becomes something you probably could cut and not a big deal. This card is fan-freaking-tastic. Yeah. Kozilek's Predator is amazing.
This is the card that you're going to want to play with all your Eldrazi or when you open a Karn. Just some big fatties Palaka Worms.
I love this card. There's just not a green deck that I won't play this card in limited environment because it's always good. Getting those extra blockers for chump blockers, extra guys to make mana for the next turn if you want to accelerate into a 7 or whatever, this card is fantastic.
I played 4 of these in my constructed deck at the Black Pro Tour.
Yeah, you did, because the card was good.
Yeah.
Man, this card is super good. You can pick it early, always put it in your green decks. You're never going to feel bad about playing it. It's always going to do something, and normally all that something is good.
Yeah, very good.
Mocked. Oh, God. Matka Rioters? Motka Rioters?
Mako Rioters.
Right. So, number of basic land types. Here's your weird domain card.
It's bad, don't play it. It sucked last time, sucks this time.
God, it sucked hard. Don't play this card. It's terrible. I don't really get these domain things that are happening because all the domain stuff I see is just so mediocre.
Yeah, it's so bad.
God, it is not good. This card is bad. Get the hell out. Mutagenic Growth, not bad. Awesome. Super great. In fact, I like to play this in every color. I don't care. This is a great pump spell.
Yeah, it is a very, very good pump spell. You should play it in a lot of decks because it's just going to save a creature in random places. Your opponents are going to try to blow you out in certain ways when you're tapped out and you just have this effect. It's great. I don't know if I'd play it as often outside of a green deck like I would Dismember.
Yeah, it's not quite as like universal as Dismember, but it's close for me because of the benefit. Because of the I'm tapped out and I can't do anything, and so then they play a burn spell on your guy, or they nameless inversion or whatever, and then you're like, oops, I pay 2 life and I just countered your spell basically, and that's a big deal. Or oops, it turns out that combat was really good for me when you thought I was tapped out and I'm the blue-black deck or whatever. Like that to me is the power of this spell. This spell is super good for me, and I've never been unhappy playing it in any color at any time. I don't care if I have to play 2 life for it.
Yep.
Card's super good. Sweet. Nest Invader, also amazing. Never feel bad about playing this thing. Kozilek's Predator and the Nest Invader, like this card was sweet. You played it in Constructed?
Yep.
Yep, you did, because it was awesome. I love this card from the moment I saw it. It's free value. It takes you from 2 to 4. Like it excels and creates 2 guys. I mean,
and at the end of the day, it's just a bear. So it's like a 2-drop that excelled you into a 4-drop on turn 3 and attack for 2. It's beautiful. I just love the card.
You can't go wrong with Nest Invader. If you're a green deck, always play this card. It's fantastic. If you're a green deck, always play Noble Hierarch. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's a $40 card. So you know,
that's it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it did get up to like $60 or something at one point. Jesus. Which blew my mind. Then I'm thinking about all the Noble Hierarchs I used to own. Don't have them now. Anyway, Noble Hierarch is a fantastic 1-drop, one of the best mana creatures of all time. Arguably a better Birds of Paradise than Birds of Paradise, and with Exalted can still attack for 1. The moment it comes into play, will give your other creature bonuses. Like, I mean, there's no bad side to Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, card's very good.
Play it, draft it early, enjoy the money you got out of it. Like, there's all the upsides. Overwhelm is such a weird card. It fights against itself.
Yeah.
That's what I always hated about this stupid card. I was like, I don't want to convoke when you're going to pump the creatures. What?
Yeah, this card, the first time around, you were like, this is so good, and it just was always underwhelming. And I do think that it's going to be better in this set because of, or actually, how does that work? It does work, right? Like, what? It's kind of like Wall of Roots for Quarter Calling. Like, the Eldrazi spawn can be 2 mana for this, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's how it works? Like, you can tap it and then sack it?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, at least as far as I recall, you can, and that's cool that kind of the Eldrazi spawn do both, but I also want to give my Eldrazi spawn +3/+3, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Eldrazi spawn with this is pretty sweet.
It is super sweet, don't get me wrong. Excuse me. Basically, this is a card that has a lot of tension, because you want to convoke it so you can play it early, but you don't want to convoke it because you won't be able to attack with the creatures you convoked. So
yes, but when Eldrazi a spawner in the mix, where you have Nest Invader and Kozilek Predator, your green-white token-based decks can probably overwhelm very quickly with a Nest Invader or Kozilek Predator. So, like, you know, the problem with it was you would have 5 lands and 2 creatures and like 3 other creatures. But now if you have 5 lands and the 1 and 1 Eldrazi, only 1, then you get to play it.
Sure.
And so, like, that's actually, this card is going to go way up in value now that I think about it compared to before.
You're correct. In a world with Eldrazi spawn, this card isn't weirdly bad, which was always what it was. It was always weird, you know. Like,
I'm hoping I'm correct with this because we went real deep.
Yeah, look, if you guys, if the big wave that comes back as soon as I post this is, dude, that's not how convoke works, dude, then this card instantly goes back to the
Yeah, sometimes we make mistakes here, and we don't really feel that bad about it.
We don't feel bad at all about it.
Yeah.
In fact, we just own them. We just take them and we just hug them.
Yeah, I have a Simic tattoo on my back now.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
because we screwed it up so bad. Overwhelm with Stampede.
Terrible. Never play it. Nope. Awful. It's unbelievably bad and limited. Even worse than Constructed.
Yep. Unplayable garbage.
Yep. Unplayable garbage.
This card was sick and limited. It was unbelievable. Like they played, like, Overrun was too good, so they just said, okay, here's Overwhelming Stampede, and you're like, all right, well, you made it better.
They were sick of having Overrun in core sets just because it always like defined the format as an uncommon, so they wanted to make the rare, but they wanted to make the rare better.
Right, they want to make the rare a little bit more impressive.
Yeah, and they did it with Overwhelming Stampede. It will just win games immediately.
By itself. Immediately.
Well, not by itself.
Well, you know what I mean. Like in terms of, like, it's the one spell you play that just like killed them because you had all these like little dorks, little Eldrazi spawn, whatever it was,
and one big guy,
and one big dude, and that's all you needed because you know this is the card that you're easy to first pick and sort of build the token strategy, green-white strategy, or regardless if you're in green-black, if you're in green anything, like this is an amazing bomb.
Yeah. Bomb, 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 bomb.
Biggity, biggity, bomb.
One of my favorite cards of all time.
I love this card. This card is so good. Yes, sometimes you're going to have to like actually pay 7 mana, but usually you're going to play some Eldrazi spawn in there.
This card is just hashtag all caps value.
Oh my God, it is Viggity value because you're dying, you're drawing a card, you're gaining 7 life. A 7/7 trampler is still huge.
Yeah.
That's a 3-turn clock, no matter how you slice it, and it's going to take at least a couple creatures to actually kill it, and it's still trampling over. Like, this card is awesome.
And you just go turn 4 Kozilek's Predator, turn 5 Plockaworm.
See?
And you have a 7/7 in play on turn 5, and you gain 7 life.
Yeah, and you're like, don't scoop. I want to hit you with it.
Yeah.
I want to hit you. Let me hit you with my huge monster.
It was so difficult to get into play that now I need the benefit of attacking you with it.
I showed you such superior magic that I can no longer play magic.
Do you see how good I am?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Validate my skill.
Get you. Card is awesome. This card is super great. I love the fact that when it first came out, people were like, is it? Okay. Is it
yeah, good? I mean, we didn't know.
Right. It's like, maybe.
I mean, also, we were just, like, blinded by the Emrakul. Like,
yeah, of course. I mean, you know, and again, like, you saw these crazy mana costs, and you're like, you're never going to get there. Yeah. How are you going to play a 7-drop? Well, you can easily play 7-drop with Eldrazi Spawn, and even if you don't have Eldrazi Spawn, this card is fantastic.
It happened, yeah.
It's super good. Plummet, sideboard. Yeah. Good sideboard.
Yeah, I mean, in a format this powerful, like, if you don't have any ways to kill, like, anti-air, like, you play a Plummet main deck. Like,
you can play one.
It's a powerful format where there's a lot of good flyers and you want to kill them. There's not as many flyers in this set as usual.
Sure.
But there's enough, right? Like, there's all the 3-drops that blue and black have. There's some bomb, like, uncommons and rares.
Right, and there's some really good, like, you know, dragons and things that you may be able to hit. It's really only bad against, like, I guess the mono red / black red super aggro archetype. But other than that, should have some target somewhere. But, you know, this is going to more than likely live in your sideboard. If you ain't got anything else, Plummet's not bad.
I'm actually on the opposite side. I always play a Plummet in the main deck and never play a Naturalize.
Wow.
That's just always who I am in limited formats. I will always play a Plummet in my main deck and my green decks because, like, most of the time you're going to have the ground figured out, but you're, like, dying to that flyer.
Because you're the green deck.
You're the green deck, yeah.
And then they have something with evasion, and you're like, oh, good.
It doesn't look like great removal because, like, black just gets kill a guy, right? Because they're a black deck.
Right.
But, like, the green decks always die to flyers. That's how they usually lose. Flyers and card advantage. And so, like, I always like having a Plummet in my main decks. It's just a safety net for me. I just enjoy it because you can board, like, you'll play against decks with flyers more often than you won't. So, therefore, I want a Plummet in my main deck.
Sure. Primeval Titan. Prime time, baby.
Prime time seems disgusting. Like, we just saw, you know, the finals of the Modern Pro Tour where Prime Time was going and getting
He was getting Vesuvas and all sorts of craziness.
What are they called?
Caroos.
Curios.
It was getting Cheerios.
Yeah.
And it was also getting, like, Cheerios and Frosted Flakes. And then it would tag and get, like, Cocoa Pebbles, but not Rice Krispies.
Because those are the treats.
That's where they go.
Yeah.
Yep. So Primeval Titan is an incredibly powerful card. It has basically ran entire formats by itself. It was running formats with Valakut. It was running formats just as, like, getting, like, a Wolf Run, which was, what was that?
It was Wolf Run and Inkmoth Nexus.
Yep, Wolf Run Inkmoth Nexus, which was amazing. And in Limited, it's fantastic because A, it's accelerating you, and B, it's a 6-mana 6/6 trampler, and that's really what I'm worried about.
It's just so good. It always overperforms. Just every time you cast this card, it's great. And you love it. Because the thing about, like, when you're playing, like, Legacy or Modern and you have a fetch land and, like, you get to thin your deck and it doesn't really do much. But in Limited, when you're taking, like, 2 lands out of your deck at a turn, like, you will just be drawing spells. Like, that's how Limited works.
Yep, you're going to get to the gas, and they're going to have to answer this guy, and this guy can absolutely win games by himself. And by the time you usually kind of get rid of him, you've already gotten 4 to 6 lands out of your deck, and at that point, you're just drawing all the gasoline.
Yeah, if they don't kill it right away, the game's probably over.
Yeah, this card is nutty. Easily first pickable, easily build around, I'm the green deck this game, or this round, or whatever in draft, and we're good. Rampant Growth. Always
another
good.
card that went with Primeval Titan in Constructed.
Yeah, it did. I mean, Rampant Growth, every time it was in Constructed, it basically saw Constructed play.
There's a reason why Map the Waste and all these stupid cards are out, because they've realized that Cultivate and Rampant Growth are just too good.
They're just too good. They're really, I mean, the way that they do it, like, they do it now with oh my God, the Shroud Tapper guy. The Green Nicolas.
Oh, Sylvan Caryatid.
Sylvan Caryatid, thank you. So they made it a creature. Sylvan Caryatid is about what you're going to see, I feel. It is what I expect to see in terms of the way green gets a rampant growth. Because it's a creature, so they can answer with Anger of the Gods and things of that nature, and sacrifice effects, or edict effects, if you will. But straight old 2 mana, go find a land, put it in the play tab, go. Because because it's really good. You should almost always play every copy you get because accelerating yourself is always good.
I do feel like Rampant Growth got a bad rap that it was around with Primeval Titan, so like it had this thing to ramp into that was just disgusting.
Sure.
But I don't think that really is around anymore. Like I don't think Rampant Growth would really ruin this format.
Yeah, I don't think about. I mean, like ruin is kind of an egregious term, but it would absolutely be constructed playable because it always has been.
It would fit in the decks, and it would be. I think it would be great though.
It'd be fantastic in like green red dragons or whatever these days. But you know, in this limited format, like you getting ahead of your opponent in resources is how you're going to win games when you're the green deck because you're able to just kind of play these huge, ridiculous monsters because you were able to make all the mana to get there.
Yep.
And that's the power of Rampant Growth. So it's not like a first pick card or anything, but it is definitely an early pick that you always enjoy, and you're able to splash things at that point, or you're able to draft higher casting cost cards with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, and you just get to ignore the middle game and just start playing big fatties.
Exactly. Rootkin Ally.
Terrible. Don't play it. It's really bad. It's really bad. Bad. It was bad the first time. It's bad this time.
It was not good. It was one of those cards I always expected to be better. I always expected this card to be good. It's not good.
Nope.
It ain't. Sorry. Scatter the Seeds, super good.
Yes.
Always good. Always playable. Play it in your green decks. You know, yeah, I don't want to play 5 mana for it, and if you pay less for it, it feels good, but like 5 mana in a green deck is not a stretch.
No.
And is easily done, and you want all these creatures so then you can get all your cool boost effects for all of your team.
But just to be sure, like this card, like the Rootkin Ally, the 4/4 guy, he can go in any deck, right?
Yeah.
But like this card wants to be in the token-based decks.
It really
and
does.
not in the graft-based green decks.
Correct. So, I mean, there's not like it's not quite auto-include, I guess, but it is very powerful.
It's more of a Smoke Braider than like the Minotaurs that you just play in any red deck. Sure. It's a Smoke Braider type effect. It's a synergy-based
little bit better than Smoke Braider, though.
Like, yeah, but I wouldn't want it in just every green deck. I would want it in the token. Like you draft a ton. Like if you have a Scatter the Seeds in your deck, you will want more Scatter the Seeds in your deck.
I love Scatter the Seeds.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's super good.
They should have just brought back that one card. The
the one from Future Sight.
Yeah.
Dang it, I can't remember the flashback one.
We should know.
Or the not
buyback.
Buyback. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Swath Storm or Sprout Swarm.
Sprout Swarm.
Yeah, Swath Storm was also a good card.
Yeah, but Sprout Swarm was super cool. Scion of the Wild. Oh my God, how the mighty have fallen.
But now it's great because Scatter the Seeds plus Scion of the Wild are going to be good buddies. This is going to be this you know, because it was a rare and it sucked, and now that it's a common and we're all like making fun of it, it's going to kill a lot of us.
It's going to kill plenty of us. Yeah,
absolutely. Raise the alarms into Scion, into Scatter. You're taking for 6. Like,
yeah. It definitely has an explosive feel, and it's a card that you don't want to let get out of control. But there's a reason it went from rare to common.
Yes, but I also think it's based on this set. Like I think that they needed something for green decks to build around to be powerful for this archetype.
Sure.
And this is the thing.
It absolutely is. And it's another one of those where, like, because it's not a very expensive card, it's not going to deal any, like, terrible damage to the people who have, like, really awesome collections or whatever. It's like, taking this from rare to common is just like, all right, whatever.
Not a single person was mad about this. They all just laughed at Scion of the Wild.
Yeah, and then someone went, wait, that was rare?
Yeah.
That was, seriously? Yeah, seriously. Scute Mob, man, I love Scute Mob. I love this card. I loved it from the moment I played it. It's fantastic. I always my personal preference is to play this after you've ran them out of resources. Wait until you have 5 lands. So they get that one turn to try to answer it. If they don't answer in that one turn, it's nuts. It's just completely nuts.
No, I completely agree with that. Yeah, it's not something you just like drop on the table.
You don't play it on turn 1. If you're playing this on turn 1, you're playing it wrong. Like you just are. I don't care if you have a forest and this is your only 1-drop. Don't do that because you're going to just get it killed.
Or they're going to play 2/2 and invalidate it right away anyway.
Yeah, and so then what are you going to do? You're going to sit here and watch this thing, and they're going to have all the time in the world to find an answer for it.
And they're going to know.
Oh, yeah, and by the time you play your 5th land, that's when they're going to kill it. They're going to wait until then because it's not even a threat until then.
This card's going to work really well with the Kavu that has Convoke. So you play it and then Convoke it, so it's like a hasty Llanowar Elf that turn. And then you have a 7/7 and this, and now like they have to answer the 7/7 that turn. But like I feel like that's going to be like a combo turn.
Sure. So, but either way, I love this card. You know, from the moment I saw it, super cool. I love the design. Absolutely love the design. And yeah, I'm just glad they reprinted it. I think it's really sweet. It's a sweet card. It's fun as hell. Absolutely great. Simic Initiate. Well,
when you really want Graph to work, I mean, to be fair, this is the thing, right? There's a lot of Like there's the uncommon, the Rootkin ally that puts a counter on it. Proliferate puts a counter on it. Like it's gonna be better than it used to.
Is this enough to play as a 1-mana 1/1?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's so much synergy.
This is a good enough 1/1 for one to play. Like I don't like them without abilities, but Grap and Proliferate and Rootkin ally being an uncommon, you're going to get synergy out of this. Now, you can take these at the end of the packs. Like, don't take them early. Like, let them wheel because no one else is going to want them.
You're going to get these absolutely super late. And, I mean, this is one of those cards that's sort of like Goblin Fireslinger. They have to do certain specific things in their specific roles to be as good as they can be, or essentially be as good as they are, more than usual, essentially. More than your 1-mana 1/1s are.
Yep.
But it's really sweet in that archetype for sure. Sundering Vitae
is a great artifact or enchantment removal because it has Convoke and it's instant. So you can just have a bunch of creatures in play.
Yep.
And then they move their equipment to have their big turn. You're just like, tap my 3 things, kill your thing.
Done. So,
yeah, or one of the cool things you can do with this. Sorry to take it, but I love this card. This is one of my favorite cards back then.
Go nuts.
They go like they have a pass or a rest or a Pillory of the Sleepless, and like they attack and you're like tap 3 things, kill that thing, and you're all tapped out. Like it's such a blowout. Like free spells are so good, and this is one of the best ones.
Absolutely. So here's the question: main deck or not main deck?
Yes, because this is a blowout card. Like a naturalized type effect isn't a blowout card
because you got mana up.
Because you have mana up, and they're thinking about it. Like Sundering Vitae is that because it's a better card to have in your deck because if they know it's in your deck, they always have to play around it, whereas they don't always have to play around the other removal spells.
Sure. And like there's, again, as we've seen throughout the whole set review, a ton of amazing artifacts. There's awesome enchantments that are available. Like normally, again, because anything like that, like the mutagenic growths or whatever, like anything where you're tapped out, you can't do anything, and like, oops, I totally can. That's good. That's powerful. However, let's go back just a moment. This is not a high pick, because you're going to get them late, because no one really cares about this card in draft that much. But when you do care, and you are the token deck, make sure you get at least one.
Yeah. Because
you're going to like it. Sylvan Bounty. This is a card that I was really surprised by how important the gain 8 life was.
Yeah, it sometimes came up, yeah.
It was literally like a time walk at times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I mean, and that's generally, and we've talked about this over different set reviews, where the line for a time walk is like 7 life, because it was Primal Command was sort of the first one to do that. And you know, when you gain 7 life or more, that's enough to really save you for an entire turn. That's sort of generally on average what you're going to be taking when they like smash in with a bunch of their dudes is somewhere between 7-ish life. And when you play this card and they hit you for like 5, you're like, okay, great. So I go up 8 and I take 5. I'm up 3. Now all of a sudden the tables a turn because all the tempo is different. Like, yes, it can basic land cycle, and you will basic land cycle with it, but you'd be surprised how good this card is just to gain you 8 life.
Yeah, I agree with that, but at the same time, I don't think that these 5-color tribal decks are going to be good, and this is not the card you're going to want. So the Fiery Temper, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Fiery Temper.
Fiery Temper, like, could kill a creature.
Sure.
Like, this one can't.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But, you know, again, I felt like back in the day, we sort of immediately were like, baby, you're never going to gain life, lols, you know, and what I found actually playing was, like, I gained 8 life a lot, and it was really important a lot.
Yeah, but that limited form was way less powerful.
Yeah, it was.
So I think this one's more of a snowball. Like, things are going to get out of control real fast. Like, it's not going to be as good.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the 8 life is not going to be as good, but again, it was just one thing that sort of struck me.
No, really. I mean, I agree with that.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that you don't play that card in this format.
Right.
Don't play this one either.
Right. Don't play this one against me, please.
Just give them away.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want them.
I can give you.
I'll take all of them.
We'll put the address on the screen. You can send them to us.
At Vegas, if you want to give this to me, I will give you a hug in reciprocation.
Right, and if you give him a foil one, he'll give you a high five
and a hug.
So you get hugs and high fives.
This is like Kickstarter. Like, we'll hit all of the. You get all of
the reward tiers.
Yeah, the rewards. Yeah,
that's great. And you get like the elbow bump, and then you get the fist bump, and then you get like the man, you did this thing, hugs.
I will dance with you, yeah.
Right, and you're like, man. This is your lottery ticket right here. This is the lottery winner. This is what you want to open because you want money. This card is $125 retail. It's only going to go up because it's exactly what Tarmogoyf does. Because why? No one plays one Tarmogoyf. That's it. It's the same reason Lightning Bolt costs like $2 or $3 no matter how many times they reprint it, because no one plays one Lightning Bolt and no one plays one Tarmogoyf.
I'm hoping this goes up because I didn't sell my set before the set, so I'm hoping that they all keep ticking back up.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now, if there's a Modern Masters 2017, this is the card that's in it. And you want to take a pie bet on that one?
No.
Good, because it's ridiculous to take it against
Modern Masters 2017?
Yeah.
Oh wait,
because they took another
they won't
year.
do 2016.
Yeah, because they're going to do
two more Modern Masters. Maybe they'll switch
No.
formats. I would take that by bet. I don't know if there'll be two more of the sets.
You mean like there's going to be a Modern Masters 2019? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we're doing a pie bet for 4 years. And someone in 2020 is going to be like,
have to remind us.
Yeah, wait a minute. It wasn't reprinted. I was like, shut up. But no, seriously. I think this card just gets reprinted over and over again. It's the most expensive card in Modern, not close. I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not, because the card is unbelievably powerful. It is one of the best vanilla creatures that does nothing but have power and toughness ever printed. And it was amazing when this card came out to sort of see its meteoric rise, because it was completely written off. No one liked it, whatever. And then it just went... And it just went into like the stratosphere. Like its value is insane. And its value is to the point where if Wizards is like, we want you to play Modern, this cool format, they have to reprint this card because it is the most expensive thing. And it just drives people out of the format when they can't afford it.
It's also the card that goes with Thoughtseize the best, that keeps the format in check. Like Force of Will keeps Legacy in check.
Sure.
Whereas Thoughtseize Tarmogoyf decks is what keeps you from doing the most ridiculous things.
Right. Like this guy is an easy clock. It doesn't matter. Like the thing that always kind of threw people was that, why is this card so good? I don't understand why it's good. Like you just play Magic, play Magic the Gathering, and this card is good. This card is a 2-mana 3/4, usually just by default, and then it gets to a 5/6, super easy, and then sometimes it gets way bigger.
I do just like one thing about the new Tarmogoyfs is they don't have the in parentheses like the reminder text.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was cool. I mean, when they mentioned like tribal and stuff.
Yeah, they mentioned tribal and planeswalker before they were actual things. I just remember that it was just so cool.
It was beautiful. And it was like, oh god, and the Future Sight. I love Future Sight. I don't care how weird and stupid it was. I thought it was great. But like, Tarmogoyf was sweet. It created a huge debates in terms of like how good should a vanilla creature be. Like this card will always be good, and I love it. I love Tarmogoyf. It's great. Thrive. Well, we have Proliferation, and we have Graft, and we have a bunch of really cool cards like Rootkin Ally, and we have cool cards like Scatter the Seeds, and it's a sorcery. However, it is good enough, I found in my experience, to absolutely play at sorcery speed.
Yes, this is a very powerful sorcery speed effect because of the fact that if you have 5 creatures and 6 mana, you can put +1/+1 on all of them. Yeah,
and I love the fact that it works in the Graft Proliferate deck, but it also works in the token deck because, it kind of sort of hits both angles, essentially. Because, again, pumping your whole team permanently is a big deal. Yeah,
this card was decent. It's not something that you'd like want a ton of, like having 1, maybe 2, depending on how powerful your deck is.
Yeah, probably 1-ish. It's not a card you like 2 of. You have 2 in your opening hand. It feels really bad. But like 1 in the late game, that's what it's like. It's one of those cards that you draw and you're like, oh, sweet, awesome.
Yeah.
Nope. God. Tukatung Ballad.
To be fair, Doom Traveler has become one of my favorite cards. I guess this one's going to be good in those stack outlet decks.
Doom Traveler made a flyer.
That's important. But this is going to be good for the stack outlet decks. I bet this will see some play.
I mean, maybe.
I bet Doom Traveler was too good, also can't be reprinted because it's not old enough.
That is true. Well, I mean, because this only went up to Zendikar block. Yeah. So, so it can't be. But regardless, this card, nah.
I bet it's bad, but it will be better than we thought because the more powerful, I played Doom Traveler for like 6 months.
But Doom Traveler is different and you know it. To make an evasive creature is different from making a non-evasive creature.
Yes, I agree with that, but the token having evasion was less relevant than the 2 bodies. Like the 2 bodies was the most important thing.
Well, the ability to kind of hold off your opponent with 2 different chump blockers.
Well, but like Bloodthrone Vampire. So I think there's a black-green and a black-white are like going to be the sack outlet decks.
Sure.
And it just needed more effects from green to push you into playing green with it.
That's
like
fair.
This is your Raise the Alarm to go with the Bloodthrone Vampire. So
okay,
I'm in.
All right. I'm definitely up for trying. I'm not trying to tell you that it's like straight bad because there's so much synergy with what you could do.
Yeah.
But it could end up bad.
Oh, for sure.
We'll see. Vines of Vastwood. Oh boy, this card was great.
The Tom Ross card. This is just practically the Tom Ross card, right? Like that is just Tom Ross.
Yep.
I mean, he's played it the most from anyone I can think of.
He has. And my coolest the coolest thing for me for Vines of Vastwood is that you can choose a creature that your opponents control and pay the kicker, and then if they try to like use a pump spell or something on it or put an enchantment on it, then they can't because all of a sudden it says right here they can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control, regardless of who you targeted. they still can't.
They
can't be targeted.
It happens surprisingly a lot, actually. It protects your guys. It can stop them from getting equipment or putting Splinter Twin on their Muldrifter.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's just weird to get like free copies of a card for the rest of the game. But all right, whatever.
I feel like you forgot about what interaction was.
Forgot about answers.
It's like StarCraft, like
opponents.
20-minute no rush. You're like, all right, for the next 3 turns, do you agree to not interact with me? They're like, yes. I'm like, I want to interact with you for 4 turns if you don't interact with me for 3 turns. Splitter Twin on my Muldrifter.
Here we go with our StarCraft references.
I love StarCraft.
Vines of Vastwood is a sweet card. It's really good. It's always playable in the green decks in my experience. I mean, like 1 green for +4/+4, or I'm sorry, 2 green for +4/+4 is a fine deal. Stopping their removal spell is great. Stopping them from doing something is great. Yeah. Like when they tap out to equip their whatever, and then you're like, nope, and then they go, and then they're like, all their plans just kind of go like,
oh yeah, this is probably the best pump spell of all time.
Really?
Well, like that cost mana. That's not Invigorate because of Infect. Fair. But this might actually just be the best pump spell of all time.
Wow.
But Invigorate just works with Infect so well. Infect might be the worst design mechanic of all time.
Well, I don't know about that. Like,
I mean, Infect was pretty busted. It kind of breaks magic.
Well, it breaks. Well, I mean, I thought they actually balanced it pretty well. It wasn't like broken, which is good. And like, I mean, for me, when you start talking about like worst design mechanic stuff, I go back to like banding and all that.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. That stuff. But like in New Modern Era, I think the only reason I just don't like Infect, even though I like plain Infect X, but the reason that I dislike Infect as an ability is because you can never get rid of it. Like, you can never heal yourself from it, which is, like, the reason.
Right, but, but that's also one of the things that Mark Rosewater talked about being very important. Like, they had the card Leeches in Homelands, I think it was, and that was basically, it sort of just negated it at that point. At that point, it was just another life total. And, and that's what he didn't want it to be. And so,
I understand, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I thought, in fact, was cool. I look forward to it coming back, and, I hope they do bring it back.
Again?
I think it was
No, Wizard, please don't.
It was cool. When it worked, it was cool. Wolfbriar Elemental is awesome.
Busted.
It is crazy, crazy, crazy good.
It's good. Once you have 4 mana or more, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely unreal. You generally want to keep it, like, you generally want to have 5 mana so you can at least kick it once. So you can pay 5 mana so you can get 6 power and 6 toughness over 2 creatures. But anything beyond that is just like nutty, buttery goodness.
Yeah.
Unbelievably. Easy first pick. Always play in your green decks. Not close. I don't give a damn what kind of green deck you got.
No, it's so good.
It's awesome. Blinkmoth Nexus. That's a card that need reprinting.
It's going to be good in like limited. I mean, it's just attacks for 1. It blocks for 2/2. Like, it's fine. Like, you'll play it. Like, it doesn't seem that powerful, but it'll do its job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those. It's a little innocuous, but like obviously it's needed to be reprinted for the affinity decks of the world. And in limited, it's always a playable card. It's not like it's bad. Oh, I got to play like 16 regular lands and a Blinkmoth Nexus. That's fine.
Yep,
it's always good. Darksteel Citadel, a card for your Metalcraft decks.
Yep, for your affinity.
Yep, the affinity decks, the Metalcraft decks, this is exactly what they want. It's not really worth playing otherwise because there's no like weird fortifications or something, and there's no real like your lands become creatures type thing. And so as a result, it's a little narrow, and that's also to your benefit because when you're the affinity Metalcraft guy,
no one else wants these.
Yeah, you're going to get maybe 2, maybe 3 of these things.
Yeah, I mean probably more actually. They're down to common. They used to be uncommon. Like they're at common right now.
You're going to see a lot of them.
You're going to see a lot of them, and you want a lot. And the cool thing about the affinity decks is you want high quality of artifact based cards that work well in the deck, and then you don't really want to play a ton of the low ones. And this card is like 2 mana for any Frogmites for any of the affinity cards, which is great. And it doesn't really matter if you don't have a lot of colored sources because you don't have a lot of colored cards.
Right. So if you're sort of like the mud deck or whatever, it's like, all right, sure, whatever. I'll take 3 of these, 4 of these. I'm happy with that. Eldrazi Temple went from... Did that go from rare to uncommon?
I don't remember.
I can't remember exactly.
It might have.
But this is a neat card.
Yeah, and you'll probably play it if you're like mono green Eldrazi. Like you have a couple Eldrazi, you have all the Rampant Growth, all the Kozilek, Predator, stuff like that. Like you'll play copies of this if you get it, and it'll probably be very good. But
if you have an Eldrazi in your pool or in, like if you're playing an Eldrazi or you plan to play an Eldrazi, I figure you always draft this essentially.
Yeah.
Not super high because like if it's like a removal spell or a good creature, you always want to take that over this. But if you got it, run it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fine. You want it to be more of like like a monocolor deck splashing a color or a monocolor deck, like probably mono green. I'm pretty sure that's the Eldrazi color deck. Sure. Like mono green,
that's what it was in Crusher.
Yeah, mono green Ulamog's Crusher, Eldrazi Temple will be great.
Sure. So again, it's not super impressive, not crazy powerful, but it's good where it's good. Evolving Wilds, because they had to have that domain deck. I'm sure it's so good.
Is this going to be Simic all over again?
God, if the domain deck ends up being awesome, we're going to look like idiots. God, I hope it's not that great.
I don't think it will
at least look like not idiots.
Mutual Pivot domain doesn't win Grand Prix Vegas. There's a good chance. Like, it's not like round 1 domain can lose the tournament, right?
Right.
Like, it's just the top 8 draft.
Right, it's just the top 8 draft. The top 8 draft, if domain wins, he's running the Tribal Flames, whatever crap. You got us.
Yeah, if they can produce all 5 colors and they have at least 1 domain base card in their main.
Yep.
Even I'll include All Sun's Dawn.
Yeah, I'll include that one because you're not playing anything else.
Yep.
That's for sure. Evolving Wilds otherwise is a very good land, playable basically in every deck. I'm just over here thinking, like, unless you're like mono, unless it's like mono red or mono green, you pretty much want Evolving Wilds every time. In any 2-color deck, like, you want to be able to fix your mana. You want to be able to say when you're building your mana base, like, I've got 7 mountains and like 7 forests, and then I have an extra mountain or an extra forest right here in this one card. And that's great.
Agree with you.
Fantastic. Eye of Ugin. Now, this one went from mythic to rare. I'm absolutely positive of that.
Yeah, but that's probably a good thing because, like, all these like Tron decks play 1 and.
Yeah. I mean, this is a card that was sort of needed, you know, in terms of like reprinting and whatnot. And this is also a card that it's a land that does nothing, so you have to count it as a spell because it doesn't have for mana. Let's not say nothing. Like, obviously it has an ability, but it's because of it you can't count it as a land. Don't put it in your land pile. Put it in your spell pile. If you have drafted a very Eldrazi specific build, I could see it being played, but otherwise I wouldn't get anywhere near this card.
I'm just already super jealous of the guy that gets to go Primeval Titan for Eye of Ugin.
Oh.
Like, his opponents just be like, you know, their opponents just be like,
seriously, brah?
I guess.
All right, dude, you got me. I hate life. Okay, otherwise, you know, don't get near this thing in draft. If you're not the Eldrazi deck, just don't. Here we go.
I think these are our last 10.
Are they? I have no idea.
I have no idea.
But this lets me talk about Karuz, and I love Karuz. Karuz are super powerful.
They deserve to be uncommons.
Lords, yes. Yeah. I mean, if you want them, if they were common, then you start having this weird thing where people are first picking these lands all the time. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and they were worth it. Like,
they still might be worth first picking. I don't know yet, but they used to.
I mean, these cards are super powerful. I mean, like, if you haven't been able to play with these cards, it is amazing how well it just fixes your mana, how well it helps, like, mulliganing when you have one land and this guy, like, all of a sudden your hand got a whole lot better because you're like, wow, I can, now that I have 3 mana in my hand and not just 2 mana if there have been any other 2 lands, I can start playing this, I can play this, I can play this.
Yeah, and if you're on the play, like with one of these, it's almost like you got the play and the draw.
And the draw. Yeah, I mean, you got the best of both worlds essentially. And so, like, these cards are always super good, and I play them. If they are one of your colors, you always play them. And if they're not your colors, I'm thinking about it. Because the fact that it gives you 2 mana in 1 card, yeah, you had to wait a turn. No, it's not really accelerating you, but like over the long term, it basically is, and it's able to turn your 5 lands into 6 mana, and that's a big deal.
Yeah,
these cards are super sweet. Azorius Chancery, Boros Garrison, Dimir Aqueduct, Golgari Rot Farm, Gruul Turf. Is that Boiler Works? Man, this brings back memories, dude. I'm telling you. Orzhov Basilica. God, this card. Oh.
Hand in hand, love this card.
Dude, hand in hand, love this card. I used to play Black White Dragons. Remember with Kokusho? Yosei?
No, I don't remember Black White Dragons.
God, of course. Oh, God.
That does not seem like a competitive deck.
It was for like a minute, and then I have
For a minute? You mean the round you won at FNM?
No, thanks. I won plenty of boxes for like Guild Pact or whatever it was at the time, and then there was that stupid Kami of the Crescent Moon deck, the Ebony Owl Netsuke deck, which was like just preyed on the big stupid mana decks. So I would be like trying to play Karuz, and they'd be like Boomerang, and then blah blah blah, and I would die. Whatever. Rakdos Carnarium, Celestia Sanctuary, Simic Growth Chamber, and that
is our entire set.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our Modern Masters 2015 set review. I thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. I had a fantastic time.
It was okay for me.
Thanks.
You'll do better next time. It was great.
It was great. I loved it. It was awesome. Sweet. It was a super thing. It was great. I loved it. It was super cool. I love hanging out and talking about Magic cards with you guys, with Brad. We get to be here. And at the end of the day, we hope that you guys sort of get a sense of like how cool Modern Masters is and what it's doing in Limited and the cards that they're bringing back and why. And it was fun. No,
I think the set is great. I love the direction. I'm glad that Wizards didn't just make another, like, here's all the awesome cards for Modern Masters and here's some bad commons and uncommons and try to draft it.
Yeah, good luck
and
with
that's what the first felt like to me. And it still was a fun format, and a lot of people got a lot out of it, but this one looks amazing. And I want to draft this a ton, not only for, like, you know, preparation for potentially going to the GP and if I qualify for Worlds, which it'll probably be a format there. Sure. It looks skill intensive, and it does not look like a format that I could go to Worlds and try to beat the best players in the world with without playing a ton.
Right, without practice. Like, this is definitely a set that looks like it has a much stronger sort of design sense, like what cards are doing what interactions are they okay with, and what colors are doing what. And with that stronger design focus, I think you kind of just have a better set. Yep. And sure, you got like these sort of random mythics or random rares, but they need to reprint so people don't spend infinite dollars on them. But it doesn't matter because I think they did a great job. I had a ton of fun.
It was enjoyable.
Thank you guys very much for watching. Please support me on Patreon so we can make more of these cool shows because it's how these shows work.
And I love doing them.
Links in the description. And until next time, Magic players, this is Evan Irwin.
Oh, this is Brad Nelson.
It's Brad Nelson.
We're so close. We have to redo it all.
No, we can't do it. All right, we're back to the white. We're going to start on the white cards. We'll be right back. No, seriously, this is Evan Irwin and Brad Nelson tapping the cards.
So you don't have to.
Yes. Bye, guys.